We've had some breaking news this afternoon. Just before we came on set, the Essendon Football Club, I can say that, has reached an agreement with Andrew Thorburn and apologized to him for their handling of his appointment to the club's chief. Now, you recall earlier this year, this was a man who stepped down as chief executive just less than a day, I think it was 20 hours in the job, due to his links to a church where some speakers had, oh my God, conservative views about the Bible. Teena, what do you make about this? I mean, is this a worthy end to this? And will we finally start to see an end to this thing where people's private beliefs are disqualifying them from jobs in the public square?
No, sadly, I don't think it's going to be an end to it. This is a good outcome for him. I'm sure he's received a nice payout, but no, it should never have happened in the first place. He should never have had to go through it. But I fear that different woke companies and sporting clubs will continue to demonise people who have beliefs contrary to them or the clubs they represent.
And I mean, James McPherson, you've thought and written a lot about this sort of thing. You know, the dangerous message I think that an awful lot of people got from this is essentially, you know, Christians especially don't have a place in the public square in Australia anymore. What do you say to that?
There's a couple of things on this. Firstly, it's a pity it took a legal settlement for the Essendon Football Club to agree that in an inclusive society, Christians should be included. It's a pity it took a legal settlement to agree to that.
Yeah.
Second of all, I wonder if Andrew Thorburn will get an apology from Daniel Andrews, who described his views as, quote, appalling. And these are views that are shared by conservative Christians right across the country. But third, and to your point, even though there's a settlement here, the problem is a message has been sent. It's well been noted that sometimes the process is the punishment. And so Andrew Thorburn may have received an apology, but he's been through months of hell. He's been defamed in the public square. He's now without any roles. He's taken a year off to sort of gather himself. And so the message has clearly been sent. If you hold these views, then you will be a target. And I agree with what Teena says. We're going to see more of this, sadly.
But James, there are also extreme right views that none of us will condone, you know. So Christian, fine, wonderful if you keep it to that, but you know, both left and right do have extreme that we have to knock out and ignore. I'm not saying that this was the case in this circumstance, but we are aware that there are extreme views on both sides.
Well, of course, but nobody's saying here, Teena, that he even promulgated any extreme view. He was just a member of a church where somebody had posted something on a website. I mean,
they weren't even his thoughts.
And this is the thing that I found absolutely fascinating about this is, you know, we had seen the whole thing with Israel Folau, and people had made a case and said, well, you know, he put that out there publicly, actively, so you could make the case that he was in violation of some sort of clause. This, though, James McPherson, this was stuff that was his own private, personal confession, or the confession of somebody in an organization he was a member of.
It was guilt by association. He never said anything about abortion or about sexuality. It was simply the fact that he went to a church where someone had preached a sermon, and so it was guilt by association. And they ignored the fact that at the NAB, where he was the chief officer, he'd been an absolute champion of LGBTQ diversity.
Well, I mean, isn't that the case, though, then, that you can never be woke enough? Because at NAB, didn't he, who's one of the guys who actually sponsored some of those early Pride rounds, he did all the right things.
He did all the right things, exactly. Yeah. So, yeah, it's a shame, but that's how the world is. And, you know, hopefully it'll adjust and not get worse, James.
Well, you know, your lips to God's ears, but, you know, we will see where we wind up on all of this.